And good morning, everyone. Thanks so much for joining. This is the 5th class by Refactor Coder on full stack software development using Python. This session is being recorded. The other sessions in the past, like other 5 sessions, at least 4 sessions were recorded, and you can find those recordings on YouTube in case any of you wants to recap it or if you missed that. Today's agenda is very, I think it's a very important class because we are going to cover Python module and dictionary. We were supposed to cover Python tuples as well, but I intentionally skipped that because I didn't see a use for Python tuples today. So we are going to cover Python module instead, and we'll be covering dictionary. Now, dictionary is a very important concept. I don't think any Python application can ever eliminate the need of dictionary. It's so important from data structure perspective. So we'll be covering Python modules, very, very important for arranging, managing your code, and then dictionaries. And then we'll be covering how to loop through the list of dictionaries to kind of, the Twitter application that we are building to kind of see how we can use it to manage our code better. Then at the end of the day, the most important session is that we'll be refactoring our code to use Python modules, whatever you have learned today. So we'll be using that. Number one, then we'll be using dictionaries, implement our learning to refactor our code and make our code better. We'll be adding a new route today. For people who are joining today for the first time, we'll be discussing that, but this is going to be a Flask feature from the Flask framework that allows us to add a route. But people who are joining from the last class, they will know that we can add route using Flask. And we'll be adding a new route today, the /tweet/username, where if you add /tweet/Hassan, then you'll be seeing the tweets from Hassan, right? This is a feature that we didn't have before. We are going to add today. Now, what if you go to /tweets only? We are building a Twitter clone, right? We are building a Twitter clone. Now, if you go to /tweets, what are you supposed to be seeing? Because we didn't specify username, we should be seeing all the tweets from all the users, right? Because there is no user. /tweets shows you all the tweets from all the users. /tweet/username will be showing you tweets from a specific user only. A new thing added in our session here is you have a chance to win a JetBrains license today. Okay. Now, people who don't know what JetBrains is, it's a very powerful IDE, integrated development environment. It's going to be 100% free if you can answer certain questions at the end of the class. So whoever is able to answer the question first will be winning this license. For the new joiners, my name is Ahsan Al-Chowdhury. I am the founder of Refactor Coders. I have 15 plus years of experience in software development. I'm currently working as a software development manager in a private company. I'm familiar with Python, JavaScript, Arduino, Raspberry Pi, Kubernetes, to name a few. I have a bachelor's degree in computer science from University of Derby, UK. I'm AWS certified DevOps engineer. I'm a Scrum Master. I'm also Red Hat 6 certified engineer. So Python modules are nothing so complicated. It's actually a very, very important feature, but it's not complicated at all. All right, what is it? It's basically a Python file that contains some Python code. That's basically it. It's just a Python file that contains some code. The intention of having Python modules is to make your code better organized, okay? Because if you have all the code in a single file, that's going to be very, very messy very quickly because it will be very hard to manage, right? If you know functions are there to categorize your code and put a specific set of code into one function to do certain things, right? Python modules takes a step further, and it kind of arranges your function in a file. Let's put it this way. You can arrange multiple functions and files and code in a file. For example, we are building a Twitter application. So managing all the tweets could be kept in a file, and we could call it tweets.py. So if you have code, and if you want to manage it, Python modules are very, very useful. Because then you can ask the code, hey, what type of work are you doing? You can ask your code, what type of work are you doing? Oh, you are managing tweet. You are about getting all the tweets. You are adding a tweet, and it's all about tweets only. Then you can kind of take those code and put it in a separate Python module and call it tweets.py. Okay, there is an example here. The example number 1, tweets.py just showed that this is a tweets.py file. It's a Python file. And you can see the first line that we have here is tweets equals empty braces. And we all know, if people, at least the people who joined from the last class, this is basically an empty list that has nothing in it, right? This is an empty list that has nothing in it. Inside of it, there is a function definition, def get all tweets. This is a function. This is a doer. This function says, the name of the function is get all tweets, which means when we call this function, I expect it to return all the tweets, right? And that's exactly what it's doing. You can see that the next line of it is return tweets. Now, tweets is just the variable that we declared at the top. Tweets equals empty list, which means there is no tweets at this point, right? Then I have the new function, def add tweet. Add tweet is for adding a new tweet. Add tweet is for adding a new tweet. So I can call this function, and you can see in the braces as a parameter, I'm passing a tweet object. Okay. Now, a tweet can be an object. Tweet can be a string as well. But just for now, let's call it a variable. We are passing a tweet variable. And then when I say add tweet and I pass a tweet, the next line, what is it doing? It's doing tweets.append tweet, which means the tweets that we declared here, tweets equals empty list that has nothing in it. Tweets.append with add. So if it is a list, imagine this is in my hand. If you see my camera here, if my hand, if this is empty, it's an empty container, imagine, then I'm adding a tweet in here. When I started, it was empty. Now I'm saying add a tweet. So this is number 1 tweet. And then I can add another tweet in it. Then I can add another tweet in it. So it's a list of tweets, and I can add as many tweets as I want, right? So this line is doing tweets.append tweet. So people who don't know list, append is a command. Append is a command to add a tweet to a list, to add an item to a list. Now, we created a new file where we have 2 functions. What is the new file name? Tweets.py. What are the two new functions that we have added? Get all tweets and add tweet. These are the 2 functions I added in our tweets.py file. All right, all good. But then it's no good creating a new file if you cannot import the feature into our actual file, the main file, because the main file in Python that actually is getting executed. As you can see, the second example, I numbered it wrong. It should be number 2. Main.py, this is where actually the Python execution starts, right? This is where the Python execution starts. Now we have a tweet.py, we have a main.py, and the main.py is the Python file that actually gets executed when we run the program. Then what happens to the tweet.py? Now tweet.py needs to be imported into main.py so that when the main file is run, tweet.py will also get run. Right? So it needs to be imported. So that's the beauty of it. You can define a new module, which is a new Python file, put certain functions and feature into it, and then import whatever feature you need to use, right? Import whatever feature you need to use. A very real-life example of a Python module could be that imagine you are working in a kitchen, and in your kitchen you have many small pots with different with different ingredients, right? Maybe you have 50 ingredients at home, maybe you have 20 ingredients at home, and those are all in small pots. All right, then when you're cooking something, you don't take all the 50 or 20 containers out. You only take the ones that you need, right? Chili powder, sugar. If you need chili powder, sugar, just take those 2 containers and use them. And when you're done, put it back. What happens if you take all the containers out, even though if you need only 2? Your kitchen is messy now, right? It's very difficult to work. There's too little space left because there's just too many unnecessary containers that's taking up all these spaces. Same with Python module. Python module is like something something that you can import from. So in the module, we have now 2 functions, get all tweets and add a tweet. Now, if we need only get all tweets in the main module, I can say I want only the get all tweets function. I don't want the other one. So that way your main file remains clean because you didn't import too many things into it, right? You only imported whatever is needed. Also, when you write this code and your friend reads your code later at some point, your friend will see, oh, yeah, that makes sense. She only imported what is needed. What is not needed has not been imported, right? Make sense? So here in the main.py, in the second line, you can see the from tweets import add tweet and get all tweets. Now, what do we mean when we say from tweets? You can see my file name, the first file was named tweets.py. So if it is tweets.py, when you import from it, you don't mention the py, the Python extension. You just mention the file name. So from tweets actually referring to the tweets.py file because it's named tweets. Just don't mention the py part of it. So basically, I'm saying from the tweets file, import add tweet and get tweet. Now I over imported here. See, I used get all tweets function only, but I added add tweet as well. So now it wasn't needed, but I just showed here that you can import both because both functions are defined, right? In the tweets.py, define get all tweets and define add tweet. So I can import both functions. Now, going to the next point, you can see in the main.py, we have a function called sum function, right? Just a random function. And there I can say that tweets equals get all tweets. Tweets equals get all tweets. Now you know that get all tweets is a function that is not defined in the main.py. It's defined in the tweets.py, right? So you're defining function somewhere and then importing that again in the main file. That's a very good way of coding in Python. All right. So why should we use Python module? We should use Python module to organize our code into a separate file so that the main file does not become really long or messy. Okay. How? Okay. Now that we have a new Python module, how do you use the features in a new Python module in the main file? Well, how we do that, there's something called import feature. We import whatever is needed from the Python module and use those functions or variables in the main file. If there is a question, please.
Here.
Yeah, sure.
So do you need to add tweets.py in any other folder structure, or is it you just import it in the main and it will be available? Do you need to add it somewhere else as well?
That's a very good question. So if I understand the question, maybe I can a little bit rephrase it. So you have a module file, which is tweets.py. Now the question is, how many times do I need to import it? We are importing in the main.py, but do we have to import it in some other file as well? You can definitely import it in some other file as well. You can import it as many times as you want, but we need to be careful about one thing, that we don't want to do something called, I forgot the term, a module and a B module. We cannot have A module imported into B module and a B module imported into A module. It's like cross dependency, right? They're depending on each other. That's going to be a problem. I think it will throw an exception. So we can import. We can import the module.
My question was actually slightly different.
Okay.
Like definitely we can import that tweets into multiple files and not create the interdependency as well. Like you explained, what I was saying, do we also need to add it somewhere on the root level, or would it be just available?
Very good question. Very good question. This is where, thank you. Thanks for the question, Vinod. So this is where Python package comes into play, which is definitely not today's subject. But what happens is that if a directory is a Python package, which in our case it is, normally the main directory that we have is a Python package. So if a directory is a Python package, then you can import any file or any module from it. Okay, so how do you make it a Python package? There is something called __init __py. Any directory, any folder that has __init __py. Just this file contains nothing. It's a blank file. Just by adding this file, the directory becomes a Python package. Now, because this is a package, we can import any modules from there. By default, this tweets.py, if you're adding it, it is directly importable because you have main.py, working already. It's understandable that this is probably already a package. So any file inside of this directory already, you can just go ahead and import that without a problem. However, if you decide to put your tweets.py in a different directory other than the current directory, you decided to put it in a different directory, we just have to make it a Python package by adding one file to it, which is __init __.py. Just having this file will make it a Python package. Any module inside of this directory is importable from outside world.
Could I just ask a question then? Just
sure.
The previous stuff.
Sure.
So like in this example, right, we're like importing two functions from tweets.py, right? But
yes.
Yeah, so my question is like, what if we had like 20 different functions? It doesn't seem to make sense if we like put the names of all 20 functions this way, right? Is there like a way to say like, I just want to import everything?
Okay, so if we have 20 different functions in tweets.py, because it's called, the module itself is called tweets.py, and you have 20 different functions in it, I want to believe that all those 20 functions are related to tweets in some way, right?
Yeah.
Okay, which is great. I mean, 20 functions is, it's absolutely normal to have 20 functions in a module because, those are important functions and those are serving the module in some certain way. Now, your question is that when we import it, should we import everything? Is that the question then?
Yes, and if we can import everything, how should we do it?
Okay, so if you need to import everything, you can just import tweets. You can, instead of saying from tweets, import function A, function B, function C, where you can specify which function you want to import. That's the best way if you don't want to import everything. If you want to import only certain functions, then from tweets, import function names is your friend. Now, if you want to import the entire module, I would just say import tweets, not from import this. I would just say import tweets. That would give me a handle to the entire tweets module. And then you can do whatever you want. When I say import tweets become a reference to the module, and then you can then use the tweets variable to like reference any function you want. I would go in go for that solution.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
No problem. What do we have in dictionaries? If you open the dictionary, you'll see there is a word, and then there is a definition of the word, right? It's like a word and some definition of the word. Word, definition of the word. In other words, in other terms, it's a key and a value. It's a key and a value. That's basically is a dictionary, right? Mostly. Now, in Python as well, the key value, this kind of structures is called dictionary because it matches the real world dictionary so much. So they named it dictionary. Okay. So what is dictionary basically? A dictionary is nothing but a Python variable, or should I say nothing but a Python object, okay, or Python data type. A dictionary is nothing but a Python data type that stores key and value. Key and value. That's basically it. We can, there are a string type of variable that can store one string or one text. There are number type variable like 1, 2, 5. A variable or some values that you want to use for calculation. For example, adding 5 plus 5 is 10 is number type variable, or rather integer type variable. Now, what is dictionary? Dictionary is a complex variable that allows us to add multiple values in it. Multiple value, not one value, multiple values. But how? Using key and value. Okay. Now here you can see that the first line in the example on the right side, blackboard, tweet equals curly braces start, curly braces end. This creates a basic empty dictionary. Okay, that's it. Empty braces start, empty braces end. An empty dictionary. Then what I'm saying, the next line is tweet equals in quotes, username Raptor colon is the delimiter to kind of divide the key and value. So it's a username colon Raptor, which means that the value of the username is Raptor, and comma, the next line, what I have a tweet colon good morning. So in one, so what is the variable? What's the variable here? The variable name is tweet, as you can see. But in curly braces, I have two key value pairs. The first key value is username and Raptor. The second key value is tweet good morning. So I'm adding two values in one variable. So that's basically is dictionary. All right, because it keeps dictionary like data structure, key value, key value. Why do we need dictionaries? Why do we need such a complex data structure? Well, we not only need it, we need it really, really badly, because the data in the real world and the computer world are data are complex, right? It's very complex, because just imagine our tweet. When we talk about a tweet, imagine I tell you, hey, there is a tweet that says Python is a great language. There is a tweet that says Python is a great language. Okay, so it's a tweet. It says the text of it is Python is a great language. Then you can ask me a question, hey, who tweeted that? So you are asking question related to the tweet. Who tweeted that? Oh, it was by some software engineer from Google, right? So imagine Mr. X. Mr. X tweeted that. So there are multiple information related to one tweet. What is the tweet? Who tweeted it? Another question could be, when was it tweeted? When was it posted on Twitter, right? The date, the timestamp of it. So already we have three values related to the one tweet. The tweet, the actual tweet, the user who tweeted that, and the time, date and time of the tweet. What other values do you think a tweet could contain? Can someone give some example?
Maybe date, time.
Yeah, that's the tweet timestamp or tweet date time, right? We talked about tweet, username, and the timestamp of it. Any other example? Exactly. That's a very good point. So, sorry, I'm having difficulties in spelling your name. Can you please let me know how I?
Amina.
Amina. Okay, Amina. Sorry. Yeah, Amina says that if the tweet has a picture, right, that becomes part of the tweet. Okay, you could ask, hey, does the tweet have any picture? Right, that's also, so which means that the tweet object, like we have the username, like you have the tweet, we could also have another key value pair, which is the picture, and the value will be the picture itself. Right?
How many likes does it receive?
Say that again.
How many likes does it receive?
Yes, exactly. How many likes does it have? Right? How many likes? So I can have another key, likes, colon, and it could be the actual value of, imagine 1,000 likes, 2,000 likes. So that would be the number, right? Anything else? Any other example? Location. Yeah, where was it tweeted from? Yeah, that's a very good point. Comments, exactly. So comments is a very, very good example, because one tweet can have many comments. It becomes a little more complicated because it's not as simple as key value, but comments, followers. Yeah, exactly. But the comments will have multiple values, because multiple people can actually comment on a single tweet. There is a question, looks like, from Gabriel. Is there different ways to store different type of media? Yes, that's going to be a different topic, but a media will be, for example, if it's a picture, we'll have a handle, an image object, right? We'll have a handle to an image object. Is basically a Python object that deals with images. That can be handled to a video object if it was a video, right? And yeah, definitely there are Python objects to deal with this special kind of variables, this special type of contents. All right, I think we kind of got the idea of why having key value pairs are important, because the real life is not as simple as having a tweet. It's also about how many likes we have, who is the user of it, when was it posted, and so on, right? So great. So I think we now understand the reason why we need dictionaries. Now, a dictionary, as you can see, can have so many key and values in it, right? Multiple key and values in it. So how do we know how many key and values are there in a dictionary? How many pairs are there? For this, the len function is our friend. Now, in the last class, we talked about Python lists. In order to know how many items we have in the list, the len function or the length function gives us the total number of items we have in the list. It's just a simple function, Python's built-in function, Python built-in function, available everywhere. You need to import that, it's there, available. Len and then the variable name, if it is a list, will give you a number of items you have in the list. If it is a dictionary, it's not an array, it's not a Python list, it's a dictionary. In dictionary, we have key, value, key, value, key, value. The len function will return how many key value pairs you have in the dictionary. Okay, now in this example, we have the username Raptor, tweet is good morning. Len returns 2 because we have 2 key value pairs, as simple as that. Moving forward, there is a type function provided by Python again, built-in function. You can use type function to know what type of variable is this, right? You can name variable whatever you want. Instead of tweet, you could name it A, B, C, foo, bar, whatever you want. But you decided to name it tweet because it's more relevant, right? But then you say type in bracket, you pass the parameter. I want to know the type of tweet, and it returns what? It prints dict. Dict stands for dictionary. So that way you know it's a dictionary kind of variable. Moving forward, now how do you manipulate? Now we constructed the dictionary where we said that the username is Raptor, tweet is good morning. But how do you access or manipulate the dictionary after you have declared it already? Now, in order to access only the username, you use tweet variable, and in square braces, this time not curly braces. In square braces, you specify the key of it. So the key of it is, as this point, imagine I want to know the username of it. So you can say tweet in square braces, I want to know the username. So you just pass the username text, and it prints Raptor because the value of username is Raptor. As simple as that. There is another way of doing it. There's another way. This is accessing the dictionary using square braces. Another way of doing it is you can call tweet.get method. It's called tweet. Tweet is an object, get is a method. Tweet.get in quotes tweet. Then it will return the tweet of it. And the tweet is good morning. As you can see on the right side, it prints good morning. Please be aware that the tweet in square braces username and tweet.get tweet, they both are doing almost the same thing, getting you the value. We have 2 keys in the tweet, username and tweet. Both the square braces syntax to get the username or the tweet.get tweet are doing the same thing. But one will throw an exception. Tweet username will throw an exception if the username key is not there. We don't have a timestamp or the date of the tweet key there, right? Imagine the timestamp of it. It was the time that the tweet was created. We don't have it. So if you want to access the timestamp of it, what do you think will happen? If I say tweet created at, it will throw an exception because the key is not there. Okay, but tweet.get, okay, and there's Ali is saying, is there any difference between codes in curly braces, square braces, and this curly braces and square braces? Now, curly braces will create a dictionary. Like you see line number 1 and line number 2 is creating a dictionary. But square braces are actually allowing us to access an element in a dictionary, right? Tweet username in square braces, I'm directly pointing to the username variable of it, username key of it, to get the value, which is Raptor. So use square braces to access the value. Now, tweet.get with, with brackets, give you the access to the variable as well, but this is just other way of doing it. This is just the other way of doing it. That's why I'm saying square braces and normal bracket, they both are doing the same thing, but tweet.get will with tweet.get, you can specify an optional parameter, which is, if you see my mouse here, the fourth tweet.get, third tweet.get, you can see that I can tweet.get foo, and the second parameter is bar, which means that if foo is not there, bar will be printed. If foo is not there, bar will be printed. Okay. What happens is that sometimes the dictionary may have a key, may not have a key, depending on how the program behaves. But you don't want the application to crash because the key doesn't exist. So you want to specify a default variable there, a default value there. That's exactly what get allows you to do. Tweet.get foo, and you can see the foo key is not there. The key foo is not there in the tweet. The bar will be returned since the key is unavailable. Okay. Another way of accessing foo, as you can see the next line here, if you see my mouse, tweet foo in square braces returns bar. In square returns bar. So both tweet.get foo and tweet in square braces foo returning the same thing, but one allows to set a default, the other one doesn't, which means if I use square braces syntax, make sure the value exists, otherwise the program will throw an exception or crash. Any questions so far? Yes, Travis, the bar is the default. The second parameter of the get function, get method, is the default value that you want the system to return in case the foo is not set. Any questions so far?
Do the key and values have to be surrounded by the single quotes?
Okay, yes. The key and value, no, not the value, but the key. In Python, the keys are, you can see in the dictionaries, the keys are in quotes, right? My username is quotes, and the tweet is also in quotes. Whether you use single quote or double quote, it doesn't really matter. You can use both, okay? But use either single quote or double quote. There is one scenario or a few scenarios where both can be mixed, but those are special scenarios. We'll see probably today. But the key needs to be in quotes, yes.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
All right. But again, the value doesn't need to be in quote. If the value is a string, it needs to be in quote. So imagine in bar, tweet.get foo, and in second parameter is bar, it's in quotes, right? It's in quotes because it's a string. But if it was not a string, if it is, imagine you want the default to be 10, 100, 1000, it's a number. So you don't need to need quotes there. You can just say bar and don't specify any quote, just a 10. So the default will be 10 as a number, not as a string.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Thank you.
Great. Any other question, please? Get A, so it's from Kang. Get A, if A does not exist, it returns the default value none. That's correct. But the A in, I believe that you meant that A in quotes. Yes. It returns nothing. Nothing means none. Nothing. It will return no values from it. So get gives none if, so that's the second get example here. There's a second get example here. Tweet.get foo, it prints nothing, but it doesn't throw an exception. If it is not there, it just remains silent. Right? It remains silent. However, in square braces, if you want to access foo, it will throw an exception if the key does not exist. Now, how do we set the value? I think we have been talking about getting the value. How do we set the value? In order to set the value is the same, like accessing the value, but this time you just have the value provided on the right side. So here, if you see my mouse here, tweets foo equals bar. I'm actually setting foo key, and the value is bar, like setting bar to foo. Right? So at the top, we only define the username and tweet, but here I'm also adding the foo key with bar value. So that's how you set it. This is pretty straightforward as far as setting is concerned. Now, let's talk about list a little, okay? A list, like I said, is nothing but an empty braces, right? Empty array, square braces start, square braces end, will give you an empty list. And then tweets.append is for adding an item to the list. Tweet.append, the tweet object and tweet dictionary. What I'm doing is basically adding the tweet dictionary into a list. That's basically it. So this becomes a list of dictionaries because tweet is a dictionary, and tweets is a list. I did tweets.add twit, which means I'm adding twit to my list, one twit. I can add another, I can append another twit, twits that append another twit, twits that append another twit, and it will keep adding new twits to it. There's a question from Gabriela. Okay, what does the program do when an exception is raised? Is there any code that should be written in advance just in case? Okay, very good question. But we are not covering exception today, but I can talk about it. Okay. In case you want to access a key that does not exist in a dictionary, in that case, there is something called try catch block. Try catch block. It's like I can try to get the value. In case it's not there, an exception will be thrown, but I don't want the application to crash. I don't want the application to crash because I know that the key may exist, may not exist. That's why I'm saying I'm trying. I'm not promising that I'll get the value. And then in case there is an exception, there is a catch statement that will handle the exception. Okay, so we use try catch block to kind of access keys in a dictionary in case there is a doubt that it may not exist. Okay, there are other ways of doing it as well, but try catch is a very famous one. Okay, now try catch is basically what you call a feature provided by Python, where you can try something in a block. It's a try block. You can try to do something, and then there's a catch block that will, or accept block. That's actually an accept block that will accept any kind of exception and let you handle that. The key, the exception that will be triggered for info is called, I think it's called key error. It's a key error exception will be thrown because the key doesn't exist. So you can handle that. Does that answer the question? And I think in the future classes, hopefully in the next class or maybe the next one, we'll be covering a try catch block as well. I think this is a very important feature that I should have covered that already. Thanks for raising that. Question from Rene. Are exceptions thrown to prevent traceback? If so, we should have separate return. Okay. I don't exactly understand the question, but maybe I'll try to still answer. Exceptions are thrown with traceback so that the coder can know where the exception is occurring and what is causing it. So traceback is part of the exception. Okay. And the try catch block in the except case, you will have handle to the exception, so you will know exactly what is going wrong, so you can handle it. So the try catch block is a very good way of trying something and handling exception. You will get the total details of the exception in the except block. Kang is asking, try, okay, is just saying, yeah, does not exist, exactly. That's a good example. Thanks so much, Kang, for giving this example. I'll move forward then. So we covered a little bit of dictionary here. We covered how to check the length of it, how to check the type of it. We covered how to access a specific key. There are two ways. One way is to kind of access the key using square braces. The other way is to use the get method to access the key. Get method allows us to specify a default. In case the key doesn't exist, the default value will be returned. We also learned how to set a value. If the value doesn't exist, I can just say that twit foo equals bar, which means that I'm adding a new key foo and the value is bar. Okay. So if the foo value exists, it will override it. If the foo value doesn't exist, it will set it. Okay. We also learned how to add a twit dictionary into an empty list. A twits is an empty list. Twits.append twit will add this twit to the list. So that kind of covers, I think, everything from dictionary for today. There are so much more to dictionary, but for our today's exercise, this is going to be good enough. Okay. We'll move forward. Okay, it's time it out on terminal. So you're up for it? So it's going to be on my local. Okay. I'll be demonstrating everything we learned today. Okay. At least the dictionary, I think we can demonstrate. So let's get started. So I'll just stop this, clear this, and I'll go to a Python shell. Maybe I'll zoom it a little just so you can see better. Can you see my screen? Can you see the black screen?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So let's define a dictionary. Let's define a dictionary. Okay. So like I said, last time we had something like twit, and then I can say equals, and then curly braces. This creates an empty dictionary, right? I'll just hit enter, and you can see there's no complaint. If I just type twit, because I defined the empty dictionary, and you can see that it's showing the value, which is empty dictionary in curly braces. All right, so how about we redefine the twit with some values this time, okay? So twit equals curly braces, and then the key in our case, the key is string, okay? The key is string. So, and the key is username, and the username, in order to provide the value, the delimiter is colon, and then I can say that the username is Refactor, okay? And then I want to add another key here, another key, right? On another key, and then another key again in double quotes. The new key name is twit, okay? And the value of the twit is good morning, Python. All right. Maybe we add the third one as well this time, and we can say that date of the twit, okay? Date time. Or maybe created at, I think this is a better, created underscore at. That's it, created at, and I can say that today's, imagine it's 15th April 2023 at 11:21 a.m. All right, this creates our new dictionary with 3 keys in it and 3 values in it, right? So let's type twit and see what the value is returned. You can see that the dictionary is preserved, is returning exactly what I've set. All right, so let's go ahead and access the username of it, okay? So the first way of accessing it is twit, the dictionary name of the dictionary, square braces, then the key of it, which is a string. So that's why we have the code. And then username, code end, square brace end. So what I'm asking here is that I want to access the username, the value of the username key. When I hit enter, you can see only Refactor is returned because the value of username is Refactor. As simple as that. Now, this is the first way of accessing the a dictionary key. Let's use the second way of doing it, which is get method, right? So how do we do that? It's twit, but instead of square braces this time, we do dot and then get, right? Dot get. Get is the method. And then bracket, and I will specify the value, the key that I want, the key that I'm trying to access. So the key here is twit, string end, bracket end. It's exactly like this last command, twit get username, but this time we are using get method, but get method will return the value, but get method doesn't throw exception if the key does not exist. So there you go. Good morning, Python. All right. Let's try to access something. Let's try to access something that does not exist. Okay? Does not exist. Using square braces to see how exception is thrown. All right. So let's try twit and maybe the full value of it. Do we have the full value set, by the way? Is there a key named full? No. So let's go and try to access full. So let's see what happens. There you go. There is a trace back saying that line number 1 has a problem, blah, blah, blah. But what is more important here is the key, the type of the error is the key error. Key error. So if we had a try catch block, the error that would be thrown would be key error. Okay. And you can see that foo didn't exist. The key error foo does not exist. All right, let's try to use the get way of doing it. Tweet.get foo. What will happen now? You can see it returned nothing, right? Which is fine, but it didn't complain. It didn't throw an exception. So get is a safer option if you're in doubt whether the key exists or not. So you could probably choose to use get. So you know when to use what. If you're certain that the key must exist, you can go for square braces. If you're not sure, then go for get method. All right, but let's do something else. I want to use the get method for one more reason, because get method allows us to provide a default parameter, right? To provide a default parameter. So if the foo key does not exist, I want it to return a default value, which is, for example, bar. Okay. There you go. This time it did return something, which is a default that I set, which is bar. Now, someone was asking that does the value need to be a string? No, because that's totally up to you. If you want the value to be string, the default value to be string, provide a string. Otherwise, you can also provide a number. Imagine that the foo doesn't exist. I want it to return 10, right? I want it to return 10. There you go. The 10 is there. Okay. The 10 is showing 10 now because foo doesn't exist. Now let's go ahead and modify the dictionary, right? The dictionary still is the same. We have the username tweet and created at. Let's add number of likes to it, right? Someone was mentioning number of likes to it. So how do we add a new item, add a new key value to the dictionary? So how do you do that? Tweet, square braces, and likes. Tweet, square braces, I mentioned that likes is a new key, and then I can provide equals, I can provide the value. And imagine I have 120 likes. Okay, enter. There you go. All good. That's as easy as that, just providing a value. Okay, Ren is asking, when you do tweet.get, is foo saved in the heap? Okay, great. I'll skip that. So now we have the likes value in there, the likes key in there. So let's see how our new tweet looks. Now you can see we have the username, we have the tweet, we have the created at time, and we have the likes 120, right? So we modified the tweet. Okay. How about we create a new tweet? So this is tweet, and we'll add another tweet. Tweet 2 is, and I'll just copy paste this from here. Okay. Copy and paste. So I'm creating a new variable, new dictionary type variable. So this time username is not Raptor. This time username is Renner. Okay. And the tweet is good morning, coders. Time is 27, and the likes is, imagine, 130. Okay, so it's a new variable. There you go. So we have two dictionary variables now. First one is tweet, that has coming from the username Raptor. Second one is tweet2, which is coming from Renan. Okay. Now, why did we create two dictionaries? Because we want to try out list. Okay. So I want to create an empty list now. A list that is empty. So how do we create an empty list? So I want to create a list of tweets. So I will name it tweets with an S at the end. Tweets equals square braces start and end. That creates an empty list. Okay. I see. Let's see. It's a type of tweets. Type of tweets. Now it says it's list. Okay. What is the type of tweet, by the way? It says dict. It's a dictionary. So tweets is a list. Tweet is a dictionary. What is the type of tweet2? Is also a dictionary, right? So now let's add tweet and tweet2, to the twits list. Okay, we'll add these two twits into the list. So how do you do that? Twits dot append is the command to add an item to a list. Okay, and then in the bracket I can say I want to add the twit variable into it, the twit dictionary into it. Okay. Yeah, please.
Okay. When you wanted to add like, you only wrote tweet, then like. But now that you want to add tweet, you use tweet.append. What's the difference with using append and the one you use for square braces? That's like that you added to the list.
Okay, append is for adding to a list. So if it is a list, append is used to add a variable to a list. So we are dealing with list here. For dictionary, adding an item is just using square braces. Okay?
All right.
Okay, so Alia, once again, so you can see that here twits is an empty list. And the type of twit, as I'm asking here, the type of twit is a list, right? The type of twit is a list. So we are dealing with a list here. But the type of twit, now this one is twit, not twits. Twit is a dictionary. Now, in order to add an item to the twit, you just do twit likes 120. You see, that's how we added it here, square braces to add an item to it. To add an item to a list, the command is twits.append. Append is the command to add an item to the list. And it will I'll show you in a sec here that I added both twit and twit2 to the list. And if I said twits here, you can see I have, pay attention here. Twits is a list starting with square braces. How many items do I have in here? This is the first item, right? And then square braces in. Then let's add another twit. Twits.append twit2. Now, if I do twits and see that there are two items now in the list, this is the first item, and this is the second item. Okay, so this is the twits is a list that includes multiple twits. Okay, why I'm showing this is twits list example? Because end of the day, when we'll be showing list of twits on a page, it will be coming from a list of dictionary. So it's important for us to understand that a list can contain multiple dictionary elements. Exactly like in here, I have two twits in the list. This is the first twit, and this is the second twit. Okay, in order to add an item to a list, the command is append. Okay, in order to add an item to the list, the command is append. So in our case, twits.append, then you can append anything you want. It can be a variable, it can be whatnot. Let's add one more item, then we'll be done. We'll go for practical building. Okay, our practical Twitter clone web application. Let's add one more item. So this time I'm not gonna add too much details. I'll add tweet3 equals, and then I'll say my username is Hassan, and the twit is hello. All right, I have twit3. Now I can say twits is a list dot append. So I'm adding new item to the twits list and add twit3, which is recently added, right? Recently created. There you go. Now, if I see how many items we have in twits, you can see now we have the first tweet here from Raptor, then the second tweet here from Rene, and the third tweet here from Hassan. So it's containing 3 dictionaries in one list. Okay, that's why it's a list of dictionaries. Does that make sense? Any question, please, before we move to the next section? I'll take it as no. it will become more complicated. Sorry, Rennie, have a question? Okay, and we'll see how to iterate through them in the next section, because the next section is going to be the practical section. So we'll do it together. Okay. So no problem. Don't worry about it. Your iteration, how to iterate over the items, it will be super. I'll show it just in a moment. Okay. So and your question will be answered. So let's go to the next section. The next section is let's start coding. Well, we are going to code together, like in every class, right? We learned something. We learned modules. We learned dictionaries. We learned a little bit of how to add multiple dictionaries into a list, right? Now it's time to kind of work together, because if you don't work together, if you don't code, you won't remember. Practicing is a very integral part of learning how to code. So we'll be doing that now. Now, I'll be sharing a link with you, and then you all can join, and then we can all code together and solve the problem. So what are we going to do today? We are going to use Python modules, which is the tweets module first. This is going to be a first module in the code. Then we'll use dictionaries to store our tweets. So this is the second use case. We'll be registering two routes. One route, which is a list the tweets by user. Okay, list the tweet by user. /tweets/username will show all the tweets from that specific user. Okay, and we'll show all the tweets when user goes to /tweets. We'll also add a logout button, logout link, so that if the user clicks on the logout link, it will log the user out. Okay. Now, it may sound complicated to someone who's joined to the first time, but bear with me. I mean, if you have any question, I'll be more than happy to answer. So no worries. Okay, we'll do it together. All right. So let's move forward. Okay, and there you go. I'll be showing you first of all the end goal of what I'm looking for. Okay, I already solved that. I'm not going to show you the code. I'm not going to show you the code, but I'll just run it to show you the end result. Okay, I'll go to web view, stop, run. Okay, so this is what we are going to be building today. And let me open that in a new tab. So you can see the first page says, please log in. Now, this is already done in the last class. Okay, I have some questions, I guess. Alia is asking, sir, I tried this tweet.append. It says that dict object has no. Okay, you are trying to add dict. I mean, the variable that you're using is a dict. Okay, you should create a list, Alia. Okay, so something like this. You should have tweets equals like empty list, and then, sorry, it should be tweet, and then tweets.append, then your tweet variable, tweet one. Okay.
If you're showing us code, we don't see anything.
Sorry, I'm just adding to the chat so everyone will get it. Okay. All right. I hope that answers your question, Alia. You are probably using a wrong variable. Okay, so this is the first page. Now, this page has already been built in the last class. Okay, so there's nothing new in it. We don't have any username password authentication. It's basically just asking, hey, can I have your username? That's basically it. Okay, so let me add my username, and I can say, my name is Raptor. Okay, let me say small Raptor. Okay, my name is Raptor. Then I can say login. All right. Thanks, Alia. Glad that it worked. Now, after I provided my username, now it's asking, what is happening? It's like asking, let me post a new tweet. Okay, so let's add a new tweet. It's a Python learning day. It's a Python learning day. Okay, I'll tweet that. And then it says that successfully received the tweet. So it's got saved somewhere in the backend. Okay, now I can go ahead and add another tweet. By the way, my name, what was my name when I logged in? Raptor, right? I logged in as a Raptor. So all these tweets are tagged with my name. Okay, no, if you see my screen, I hope you can see my screen. When I logged in, my username was Raptor, and I'm adding multiple tweets. The first tweet was, it's a Python learning day. My second tweet will be, It's a sunny day. Okay, I'll just tweet that. So I added 2 tweets. I added 2 tweets. And then I can go to now something called /tweets to see all the tweets, all my tweets. Okay, so I can see that the first tweet is a Python learning day by Refactor, and then it's a sunny day by Refactor. So I added 2 tweets. Both tweets are showing up in here. Notice the URL is /tweets. Okay, I'll log out. And then now I'll log in as my first name, Hassan. So I'm just acting as if I'm a different user. So Refactor logged out, Hassan is now logging in. So I log in and I'll say it's my first tweet, and I'll go back and add my second tweet. Okay, so Refactor added 2 tweets, Hassan added 2 tweets, right? So now what happens if I go to /tweets? You can see that all the tweets showing up. The first 2 from Refactor and the last 2 from Hassan. Okay, now coming back to the point, every tweet has 2 information, the tweet itself and the username of it. Do you see it's a dictionary problem? Do you see that it's a dictionary problem? This dictionary should have at least 2 elements, the tweet and the username, right? Okay, move forward. What we also want is I want to go to tweets /Hassan will show me only the tweets from Hassan. Before it was showing tweets from 4 tweets from Refactor and from Hassan. So it's showing everything. But if I go to /tweets /Hassan, specifying the username, then it shows me tweets from only Hassan, right? If I go to /tweets /Refactor, it will show me tweets from Refactor only. So this is what we are going to build today. Okay, this is what we are going to build today. I'll log out and I'll stop this. And then I'll go to my REPL and there you go, day 5. And then I'll be sharing this link with you so we can code together. Okay, there you go. And I pasted the link in the chat. Please click the link and join me in coding and solving this problem. Okay. All right. So far we have seen what we want to build. Let's see what we have today. Okay. Let's see what we have today. So let me run day 5. This is, by the way, is not solved. This is not solved. So let me run this. And you can see it's asking me for username. And I can say my name is Hassan. And if I log in, it's asking me for the tweet. Hello there. If I tweet, and then if I go to / let me take it out here. Okay. And then if I go to my tweets, there's something called my tweets. It shows all the tweets. You can see that it doesn't have a route called /tweets. It doesn't have it. Okay, so we need to add that. It doesn't have a route called /tweets /Hassan. So we'll have to add it. Okay, so these are missing features. Now let's get started. So what should we do first? Anyone? We have the tweets variable already in line number 4, right? Tweets variable has already been added, which is the empty list is already there, right? So I'll just help you to get started with. At this point, when we make a tweet, when we post a tweet, which is line number 44, when we post a tweet, it just adds the text to it. But before we even go there, do you think that we need a module? Can we create a module for tweets? Can someone help me with that? We need a module for tweets. And in the new module, we need two functions at least. First function is add tweet, and the second function is get all tweets. Okay, so let's add a module. Anyone? Any volunteer?
Yeah, I can do it.
Is that Danny? Yeah, please.
Um,
Let's get started.
Do we need to share my screen, or is it?
No, we can see everything is happening. Everything is shared, so you don't have to. You can just go ahead and start working.
Okay.
So Danny, what is the plan? What are you planning to do now?
Okay, well, first let's just create our file, our py file.
Okay.
So
Sounds
this
good.
will be here, and we want to call it like tweets.py.
That's correct. Yes. Okay, there you go. I see that you added the tweets.py on the left side. Everyone, if you can see, the tweets.py is there. So I'll open the tweets.py.
And then we'll want to define those two functions.
Yeah, so we need to define those two functions. That's correct.
I don't remember the syntax for it.
You are doing it right so far,
Yeah.
Danny. Def, yes.
Equals to get all tweets.
Oh wait, right.
No. Yes. All tweets. Yes.
Was it like this?
Yes.
Then return,
Return tweets.
and then that should
Okay,
obviously.
there is no semicolon at the end.
There's
Danny.
a semicolon.
As you can tell, I'm coming from a different language.
Looks like it's JavaScript.
Yeah. Tweets equals. You said this was a list.
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
All right,
Right.
so we have to get all tweets. That's great. What is the next thing we need?
We need an add tweet, right?
Exactly, we need to add tweet.
So I will start again with add tweet of would this just be called tweet?
That's correct.
This would be tweets.append tweet.
Yes, tweets.
I think this is great. This is really promising. I think we need one more function, Danny.
Delete tweet.
No, we don't have a delete feature yet. The next function is get tweets by username. Remember that feature? I mean, this is coming to an MVC problem already. We're kind of already doing MVC. This is the model part of it, model view controller. So if you want a page where you go to /tweet/username, /tweet/Denny, right?
Yeah.
And then what are you basically doing behind the scene? You're getting all the tweets by username, right?
Yes.
You actually need a function for that, which is def get tweets by username. That's the correct way of doing it, right? So let's add that function.
So find get tweets by username.
And what do you think the parameter? Anyone? What do you think the parameter should be here?
Def
User ID? No.
dot get.
That should be the username. The parameter should be username. No,
Yes.
we cannot specify anything other than a variable there. So it should be username. There you go. So basically, what the contract, you can see the signature of the function is that get tweets by username, and it passes username, which means that the username is provided. Username
Should
is
the username not be in code?
no, because that's a variable,
Oh,
right? That's a variable. So
Okay.
username will be passed to it. So once you have the username, your responsibility is to return the tweets that has this username only, right? This
Yes.
is where we need to take the help from looping, right? Someone was saying that iterating was becoming a little difficult. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. So now how do you do that? So you imagine you have 10 tweets in the list. The list is in line number 1 is the tweets list, right? You have 10 tweets. And some of it is from user A, some of it from user B, some of it from user C. Now, in order to find only the tweets from user A, one way to do it, there are many ways to do it, maybe the easy way of doing it is we loop through from first to last, the first tweet, second tweet, we check every tweet, and find the username of it. So if the tweet's username matches the username that is passed, if the tweet's username matches the username in the parameter, then this is the tweet we need to return, right? This is the tweet we need to include in the new list, right? Because we want all the tweets. What is the intention here? We want all the tweets from a specific user. So I say, hey, give me all the tweets from user A. So what do you have to do? Go through each and every tweet, find out the username, check if the user is user A. In that case, include that. Otherwise, just exclude that, right? So let's do that. This is the kind of, the algorithm of algorithm of doing it. And now let's implement that together. That's a very good way of doing it, Danny. I kind of like it because you're kind of writing the requirement for everyone, which kind of keeps us in the right direction. Yeah, if the username matches the username passed as a parameter, yeah, exactly, then include them in the new list. I think that's it. That's basically it. Create new list. Exactly. Do we need to use global? Okay. Now, we don't need to use global here. It's because tweets is a list and it's not a primitive type variable, it's an object. So we don't need to use global. For append function, we don't need to use global here. But that's a very good question. If it was a string type variable, I think we'll have to do that, right? You know that it can modify, you can access that, but it can't modify that if it was, for example, a string type variable. Okay, so now I think that the requirement is pretty clear. Should we start writing the code? So what's the first thing? We probably need to create an empty list. And there is one problem in computer science. Which is naming a variable. This is pretty difficult. So if you ask me, I would name it user tweets, user_tweets. Which means tweets contains all the tweets. Username_tweets contains user-specific tweets, right? And it's an empty list to begin with, exactly. Yeah. Now we need to go through all the tweets, right? We need to go through all the tweets to check. So all the tweets check one by one if the username matches, right? Okay, the indentation has a problem. Yeah, that's correct. No, that's double indentation. So we need, yeah, that's good. So for tweet in tweets, that's how you loop through a tweet. Go one by one. For tweet in tweets, or for item in collection, for item in collection, or for item in list. Okay, that's how you loop through a list. All right, and hit enter. And then inside of the tweet, we need to do the magic, the thing that we have learned today. So how do we get the username of the tweet? How do we get the username of the tweet? We need to check the username, right? If tweet is a dictionary, then in order to access the username of tweet, there are how many ways? There are two ways of doing it. If we can guarantee that the username will be there, then it's okay to use square braces. And I would use username because square braces because I know username must be there. And if there is a tweet, there is a username. Yes, the quotes are important. Tweets, username, then, and that's how you access it. Now you need to check if the tweet matches the username. If the username matches the username passed, right? If tweet username, how do you check if it matches? Equals. That's correct. Equals. I don't think we need the text equals, and then there'll be a colon at the end. So that's the if condition. Great. We can get rid of the equals text from there. Great. So yeah, that's gonna check if the username in the dictionary matches the username that's passed into the function, right? So if it matches it, Yahoo, we found it, right? So we can do use. Now we need to add this tweet to the new list. It's not going to be the tweets list because it's going to be added to the new list. It's the user's tweet, right? It's not the main tweet because the main tweet has all the tweets, right? You're kind of looping through the main, all the tweets and creating a new list for the user only, right? So it's user tweet. User tweets that append. Exactly. That's the right way of doing it. Great. I see a problem in the code, a serious problem that we have missed. Can anyone say what it is? Anyone can point out?
We need to return the list, return the array.
Absolutely, that's probably the next step. So let's return the user tweets, but other than that, there is still a super big problem. So let's return the tweets in the line for the get tweets by the username. We need to return the tweets, right? Yeah. So that, I think the get tweets by username is perfect. Okay, get tweets by username is perfect. But problem again, anyone can point out the problem that we have? It's a big problem.
Is it listed in one of the? Is it listed in here somewhere or? No, I don't think so.
There's nothing in tweets right now, right?
Yeah, that's correct. Nothing. There's nothing in.
So if tweets is empty and we're trying to loop through it, is it going to throw an error?
That's what I was thinking.
Not really, right? Because okay, not really. One last chance.
Oh man, I don't want to spoil our last chance, but I do have a guess. My guess is, well, what if like username doesn't even exist as a key?
I think someone nailed it. We have a problem in the chat. Someone said the username is not present in the tweet. So you see that see the line number 7, def add tweet. When we added a tweet, how many parameters should we have taken? We should have received 2 parameters. We should have asked for 2 parameters. One is the tweet itself, the other one is the username, right? We did not create a dictionary to begin with, right? So let's do that. So the add tweet takes 2 parameters, the tweet and the username of it, right? And then we do tweets.append. And tweet.append is going to be what? A dictionary, right? Okay, so how do you, not really. How about we define a t variable with tweets? Define a t variable that's a dictionary.
You want to t variable like?
So there are 2 ways of doing it. Okay, one way is that you define a t. No, it should be inside of the tweet function, add tweet function, right? you can define a dictionary variable and add username and twit into it, and then append the t variable into twits. Exactly what we have done in the exercise in the live session, right? So I'll just help you a little here, okay? So I define a t variable. Oh, sorry, it's a t variable. T is a dictionary. Yeah, that's correct. A dictionary, and then the username is username, and who can add the next one?
Oh, I see.
Okay. Yeah.
Add tweets.
All right. And then when we append, what do we append?
Now
Tweets
we
and
append the T.
Exactly, we append T because T has all the T is a dictionary, tweet is not. Tweet is just the text, right? In this parameter. There you go. All right. In the line number 2, someone added a username equals in blank string. That's not needed, right? Because yeah, we can just get rid of that. All right. I think we have a pretty good function here. We have get all tweets function that returns all the tweets. We have add tweet function that takes 2 parameters, tweet and username, right? And then we created a new dictionary that has the dictionary structure. Username is username, tweet is tweet, and then we append the tweet into the actual list, which is tweets. Now we don't have to return the tweets.append from there. We don't have to, because this function is not supposed to return anything. It's adding a tweet. I'm not asking for anything in return at this point. I mean, you can have a return, that's fine, but Python will return anyway. A function that doesn't return, what does it return? If there is no explicit return from a function, what does it return?
Default.
And I want this answer in the chat. Whoever can answer correctly will win the JetBrains license. Okay, I think. Okay, we have the answer, multiple, none, nothing, none. Are we done? Performs the function. The question is, if a function doesn't have explicit return statement, what does it return? The first correct answer wins the JetBrains license. Null, the last value. Okay. I'll give a few seconds more and then, all right. I think we are done. So let's see. The correct answer is none. The correct answer is none. This is something we learned in the last class. If a function doesn't specify a specific return statement, the default return value is none. Something we learned in the last class, and the correct answer was given by Amit. Amit, you there?
Oh, yes, I'm here.
Okay, Amit, thumbs up. You won it. Amit, can you please send me just direct message me your email address? I'll be sending you the license after the class. All right, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
All right, so tweets.append. So we have I think we have done from as far as this module is concerned. So congratulations, everyone. We have written our first module. Now let's go ahead and actually use these methods. So how many? So the first thing first, let's import. Who can help us with importing of this module?
Go back to main.
Yeah, so we need to import that right into the main function. We have created the tweets.py module, but doesn't mean that it's usable. We can't really use it. It needs to be imported, right? So we need to now use our module. So let's go ahead into main, and we need to import. Okay, we need to import tweets. Yes, that's one way. No, we don't specify the py. We don't specify the py extension. So the syntax is gonna be, yes, import tweets works. import tweets works, but that will import the entire module, right? And that's fine. I mean, we can import the entire module, but I guess why not, for the sake of learning, we import specific functions as well, okay? We just name import, and then we can specify the function names, one after the other.
So all of them or just a few?
Yeah, all of them, because we will need all of them. Add tweet is definitely one. Yes. We don't need another import. We can just comma separate the function names. Okay, so we imported add tweet. We imported add tweet, get all tweets, and get tweets by username. I think that's all. You see that get all tweets, there's space in between. This is not going to work, so please get rid of it. Okay, that. It looks good. I think that's all. As long as we have the function names correct, I think this should be good. Now, sum function. So we can just get rid of the sum function thing. We don't need that. Okay. Yeah, because we don't really. I'll get rid of that. Okay. All right. So now we have all three functions imported. Congratulations. Now you have defined a new module and imported the functionalities in here, which is great. Now let's add tweet. Let's add tweet. So where are we adding the tweet? So we need to refactor our code to add the tweet. Oh, okay. Yeah. So in order to add the tweet, I think line number 42 is the function. Line number 42 is save tweet function, right? Say save tweet route. Here, we need to see that the tweets.append, we don't need tweets.append anymore. We can just say add tweet, right? Just add tweet, add underscore tweet. There you go. Add tweet takes how many parameters?
Two
parameters. The first parameter. So if you do bracket, I think it should help you with that. If you add a bracket. The first parameter is the tweet, and the second parameter is the username, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Right? Tweet and the username, that's correct. So the tweet is basically the tweet variable itself, because the tweet variable is specified line number 44, right? We have the tweet, and then comma, then the variable. Now, where is the username stored in this application? Username is a global variable. Username is a global variable. Right at the top is called current username. Is the current username is the variable. If you go all the way up, you can see here, line number 7 here, if you see my screen, the current user is a global variable, it's a string. So here, we can just say that add tweet, and the second parameter will be current username, not username. Current underscore username. Okay, things is spelling typo, user name. There you go. I think that's all. Yeah, remember, we are good. We want to be a good Python coder, right? We want to be a quality Python coder. After every comma should be a space. Yeah. I mean, at least when you're passing parameters, should be a space. It makes it very readable. Okay, so add tweet, this will take care of it. All right. If you go all the way up, you can see that we had line number 5. We had a tweets variable defined earlier. This is the old way of doing it. But our tweets variable is no more in the main.py. Where is it now? It's in the tweets.py, right? We don't need this tweets global variable anymore. We can get rid of line number 5 and 6. Right? Because we have a separate tweet manager. where the tweets are stored, right? There's a list where tweets are stored. Great. So we got rid of that. What else do we need to do? Okay, so we need, all right, current username. Why is the current username? Current username spelling, it's current_user_name. All right, I think that's great. Now you can see that there is something called my tweets, right? There is something called my tweets. Now, this is a part that I'll be helping you with, okay? So you can see me coding because I haven't really shown you that yet, okay? So in order to add a route, so the next problem that we are going to solve is to create a route called /tweets. There are two requirements. /tweets will show you all the tweets. /tweets / Tim will show you only tweets from Tim, right? This is our new route requirement, which means this route will solve two problems, right? So how do you do that? So let's change this. We don't have any more my tweets, something called my tweets. There is no more my tweets, okay? I can go to, and I'll change this route, line number 47 to /tweets, okay? And /tweets, and then /username. So this is my new route. As you can see, I have /tweets /username. That username is in bracket, right? Username is in bracket. It's because this is a Flask way of doing. The Flask is the web framework that we're using here. This is a Flask way of saying that username is a variable. What is a variable? A variable is something that changes, right? A variable is something that changes, because we can go to /tweets /user1. We can go to /tweets /user2. You can go to /tweets /user3. So this needs to be a variable, right? So that's why we have the username in brackets. Then, because it's going to be a username variable, in my tweets, I'll change that function as well. I'll call it tweets. In tweets, okay, or in tweets, or maybe call it all tweets, okay, all tweets, or user tweets. Let's call it user tweets. Now this user tweets now will have a variable. The variable name will be nothing but the same name, username. And the username will have a default of none. All right, username will have a default of none. What is happening here is that I parameterize my username. So in the URL, username may exist, may not exist. If it does not exist, then username will have a value of none, okay? But if it does exist, it will be the value of whatever the username was specified. For /tweets /user1, it will be user1. Okay, now that's all about the routing, okay? Now in this function, you have the username. You should have the access to the username, okay? Now, how do we get all the tweets from the user? As you can see, line number 50, it was accessing the tweets variable that was defined earlier. This tweets was the old tweets list at the top, defined at the top. But we don't have that tweet variable anymore, right? So what do you think this variable is going to be?
Is it possible to just access the method, the function?
Exactly.
Okay.
We should, instead of just calling tweets, we should call the method or the function that we have defined, which is what? Get tweets by username. Exactly. So we define the function there, and in the main, we are just calling this function to use those, right? So let's change that.
So, no. I don't know, actually. I think you're on mute, by the way.
Yeah, I think you'll have to import that function and then call it instead of tweets.
On line 50?
Yeah.
That's what I was thinking. So basically, So my understanding is like, if you were to call get, let me see.
All right. So yeah, so we just, I mean, the function is imported already. The function is imported already, so we just can call the function now.
Right.
So, and the function name is get sorry, let me see the important get tweets by username.
But can you loop through that function in the same way? Or
Exactly, because the function is a list. It's not, you're not looping through the function. You're looping through what the function returns. And if you remember, you returned a list. Yeah, your function requires a bracket because you need to pass the parameter, right? That's it. You pass the username and you're done, right? Because it does the job, right? It does the job. It just takes your username and it will return the tweet. And I think we're good. I think you're good.
But doesn't it have to say by the username at the end of the tweet?
Yes. Yes. Was that Rene?
Yes.
Very like your attention to details. It should say by the username. That's correct. So we have some more problem here. When we get the line number 53, when you get the for tweet in tweets, is tweet a tweet text or tweet dictionary? What does the get tweets by user returns? It's a list.
Yes.
Right? It's a list of what?
Dictionaries.
Dictionaries. What does the dictionary contain? A tweet key and the username key, right? That's what we have learned so far, right? So now when we do for tweets in get tweets by username, you get a list. The tweet that you get here is the dictionary. The dictionary has two keys, username and tweet. What line number 54, what you're printing here, what you're returning is the tweet dictionary. But should it return the tweet dictionary or should it return the tweet text? We should access the dictionary here, okay? You can do square braces, tweet, square braces, tweet. Exactly. 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 Yes. Yes.
Does it support dot as well, like tweet dot tweet?
Yes, tweet.get as well. You can do tweet.get.
And even dot, tweet dot tweet.
Tweet.get tweet. Now dot is not supported because dot is only supported for classes. Okay. People coming from C, Java, JavaScript, dot is supported. But in Python dictionary, you can only use square braces or get function. But dot is also usable, but if you're using classes, then you can use it. But we're not using classes here, so we can't use it. So here, okay, now one problem here. Remember I said there is some specific scenarios where you want to mix up single quotes and double quotes, right? This is the place. Because you started with single quote, then for tweet key, you also define single quote. So now it's saying that, hey, where does the single quote start and where does it end, right? So what we can do here, we can change this to double quote. Okay, we can change this to double quote. There you go.
Yeah, I have a basic question. What is that F and then single quote li online?
It's something that we learned in the last class and also in the last class. It's called F string, and you can watch the video, which is day 4 video. Okay, and there we talked about F string. I think day 3 also talked about F string a little, if I'm not mistaken. F string is a way of formatting string. In simpler terms, it allows you to inject a variable inside of a string. It's also called string interpolation. Okay, imagine you have a string, but you want to inject some variable inside of it. F string is a very good way of doing it. It's a Python. It introduced in Python 3. I think in modern Python 3.7 or Python 3.6, something like this.
Okay, thank you.
No problem. So we did access to it. I see that there are some errors already. We'll fix the errors, no problem. But Rene, you said that the by username is missing, right? So why don't we add the by username?
I'm kind of worried about entering it. So I was thinking.
I can help you with that. So before the li or anyone else, yeah, that's the right way. And then exactly the same way, tweets.
Wait, someone else is writing.
No. I think what you're doing is correct. So by and then tweet, and then this time we access the username. Not single quote because we have the single quotes for opening, right?
Will it be
because
current
we have single
username?
quotes surrounding us. We have single quotes surrounding us. Inside, we need to use double quote.
No.
That's the special. Yeah. Sorry.
Would it be username or current username?
That should be username because
Okay.
in dictionary the key is username, right?
I see. Got it.
Could we also have double quotes outside and then single quote inside?
Exactly. Very, very good point. Yes, we could have double quotes outside and single quote inside, or single quote outside, double quote inside.
Great, thank you.
No problem. All right, I think we kind of covered a lot of ground already. Let me try to run it and see how it behaves. And I can see that it throws exception, and then it is throwing exception. It says the current user is not defined, and current user is not defined. If you see my screen, it says that current user is not defined. And this is where? Okay.
Line
I'm
20.
not sure if we change the current user because, I think we named we renamed the variable. It should be current underscore user. That's why it's throwing an exception. Okay. It should be current underscore user. I think by mistake, we changed it. And then which means that here as well, line number 43, it should be current underscore user. And I think that's all. Okay. All right. So let's run it and see what happens. Hey, it's complaining still. It says that name current underscore his name is not defined. It's in main line number 20. So let's go line number 20 and see what it says. If we have a problem, current underscore user, I don't think there should be a problem. Okay, I think we didn't save it. Okay, now it's running. I'll restart it. I think we just forgot to save it. Okay, let's open that in a new tab. Okay, moment of truth. Let's test it. I log in as Asan. All right, my first tweet will be tweet 1. Let's keep it simple. Tweet 1. Okay, tweet 1 received. Successful. Let's add another tweet. Tweet 2. Tweet. All right, great. Now I have added 2 tweets. Now let's go to /tweets, right? This is the new route that we added, right?
Yes.
So let's go there, and it says that the route is not found. Is that something I made a mistake with? Slash. Okay, maybe I need to add a slash at the end. Did I make a mistake here? So it should be /tweet. Okay, yeah, I did not add a default, which probably is this. So let me try to fix that because we have 2 routes, one with /username, one without /username. So we just need to add this. Maybe this is a problem. So let's run it again. Let's run it again. And then we have Asan, log in, then tweet 1, tweet, go back, tweet 2, and tweet. And then if we go back to /tweets, all my tweets. It's not showing, I can see the pages here, but it's not showing all my tweets. Right? It's not showing all my tweets. So something is wrong. If I go to /tweet /Asan, hey, it's working. Working, great. And that makes sense because, when I didn't specify the username, well, the username was none. And then it was trying to get the username by none, so it couldn't get anything, right? So that makes sense. I think we did a very good job. Tweet 1 by Asan, tweet 2 by Asan, Kara by Asan. All right, so let's go ahead. And now we need to add a feature of logging out because if you want to test multiple user, I need to log out and then log in again, right? So in order to add a log out, I'll just go ahead quickly because I know it's already 23 minutes over our book time. So I'll just go ahead and quickly add a log out URL. Is that cool?
Yeah.
Okay, so how do I add a log out URL? I'll just copy login. It's pretty easy, and I'll name it logout. I'll name it logout. The method is not a post, so I'll just get rid of that. By default, the method will be get. And if you want to know about HTTP get and post, the differences between it, I think one of the last classes, either class 3 or session 4 or session 3, will have the details. So you can learn it from there. So I'll just add this function logout, and then what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to change the current user to empty string. All right. So I'm just removing the username. And then I will redirect the user to index, which is the home page. So just log out the user, remove the username, and redirect the user to the home page so that the user can log in again. Okay, that should be good enough. Now that we have the logout URL, we also need to allow the user to click on the link so that the user can log out, right or wrong? Right? So how do we do that? So at the end of it, let me add a BR. BR is in HTML term, BR is for break of a line, creating a new line. Okay, creating a new line. That a BR, it gives one line gap. I'll get another BR for another line break. Then there's something called anchor. People who have some experience with HTML, anchor. Or if you don't understand anchor, you can just Google HTML anchor. That's very, very easy stuff, but I'll show you what it is. An anchor is nothing but gives you a link to click to go to a different URL. Okay, anchor. In order to add an anchor, you just do A and then href, which is hyperreference. Okay, and the reference will be, in this case, I want to go to /logout, right? Because I want the user to go to logout in order to log out. Then I'll add a code end, and then I'll say logout. So it's gonna say logout, and when I click on logout, it goes to /logout. But how about I say logout and the username so that the user understands? We know that who this user is actually. So I can say that was the current user. So now it will say logout current user. So you'll see exactly the username that's being logged out. Okay, so I'll save that. Any questions so far?
No, thank you.
All right, so let's run it. I'll go here to home page. I'll name myself Asan, so I'll log in my tweet one. So tweet one, tweet, go back, tweet two, tweet, and then I want to go. Now I have added 2 tweets. I'll go to /tweets /Asan. And there you go. I have tweet 1 from Asan and tweet 2 from Asan. So I'll log out now. Okay, I'll click on logout. I would expect it to go to /logout URL. It will remove my username and it will force me to log in again. There you go. It worked, right? So my name is Asan. So this time I'll use Rene's name. So Rene, and then log in. And then, okay, now I'll say Rene tweet 1, go back, and Rene tweet 2. So there are 2 tweets from Asan and 2 tweets from Rene. Now let's go to /tweet /Asan, and you can see all the tweets from Asan. Congratulations. And let's go to /tweet /Rene. Oh, I misspelled it. What? Logout. Oh, okay. So what happened is that, okay, what happened is that Alia logged in. You can see that logout Alia, right? So because I think it got restarted or something, so our tweets got removed. So it's got no, not really. I'm not sure why we don't have the tweets from Rene. Okay, let me quickly check. Once again, I'll run it. I'll just stop and restart. Sun and tweet 1, tweet 2. Then I'll go tweets. Sun. I'll log out. And then log in as Rene, log in, and then Rene 1, Rene tweet 1, go back, Rene tweet 2, go back, and then I'll go to /tweet /Rene. There you go.
Nice.
Great work, everyone. And then if I go to Hassan, I'll see my tweets. There you go. It's working. It's working. Excellent.
Yes, and I know we are already late, but if you could answer one question, where is this data getting saved? Is it in the browser memory or some data?
No, it's not. It's not stored in the browser memory because it's all backend driven, right? It's all Python driven. So we are not storing the data in browser cookies or local storage. Where we're storing it is basically the Python memory, the heap memory. We're storing in the Python memory. Okay, so there you go. This is the variable that's storing the tweets.
Great.
Okay, I know this is not ideal because we haven't introduced database yet. It's going to be introduced in the future classes. I think in 2 to 3 classes we'll be including databases. So that will solve the data storing problem. But I think we have done an excellent job today. Thank you so much for joining. Congratulations. I think we have learned a lot today. I think, and also our application is getting the shape that it should have. Thank you so much. I'll just show you one last time. In the next class, we'll be covering up MVC and use of HTML templates and refactor our code to use MVC. And please don't forget to practice, because that's how you remember how to code. All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, and hope to see you in the next class.